We welcome you to the WCC This Week. It's presented by Geico, and we come to you today from San Diego, California. We're on the campus of the University of San Diego, where the hometown Toreros entertain the visitors from Moraga, the St. Mary's Gales. And hello again, everybody. I'm Barry Tompkins. Once more, my partner, Casey Jacobson. And Casey, everybody starts talking awards this time of year. The Wooden Award, of course, the most coveted award for any individual. And you know what? West Coast Conference has 3 of the 20 finalists.
Yeah, the ACC leads the country with 6 guys in the top 20, but the second conference with the most is right here, the WCC, and it starts with Kyle Wilcher. He's been one of the best shooting power forwards in the country and will likely be the player of the year in the WCC as a junior. He's the 5th leading scorer in the conference. And then his point guard, Kevin Pangos, to me, a top 5 point guard in the nation, the unquestioned leader of this Zags team. And I have a lot of respect for him because he sacrificed some of his scoring from last season to make room for some of the new guys. And then, of course, we can't forget about Tyler Hawes out in Provo. He's been the model of consistency over the course of his 4 years in Provo. He's been a top 10 leading scorer in the nation for the last 2 years. And Barry, it's just such a privilege to be able to watch these guys, especially Pangos and Haas, grow over the course of their 4-year careers.
Yeah, it's a heck of a good conference with some outstanding players, as indicated by that. What everybody's playing for right now in this conference is positioning. I think at the top, it's pretty well set. But everything from 4 down, complete grab bag.
Yeah, from seeds number 4 through number 7, only 3 games separate those teams. And I want you to look at number 7, Santa Clara. They desperately want to get out of that play-in game and get into the group on the right that you see. I also want you to take a look at San Diego. This is a team that's playing St. Mary's today, but after their game today, they have to go at BYU and at Gonzaga. So there's going to be a lot of deck shuffling of the chairs going on in the next couple of weeks, Barry.
Yeah, and that's the bad news for San Diego. Yep. That they got to go on the road, but the good news is that they've won 4 of their last 5 and they get another chance today. This is a hot basketball team right now.
Very hot. They've won 5 of their last 6 games, and I had the chance to talk to head coach Bill Greer, and I asked him what has been the key in their offensive turnaround over the last 6 games.
Well, better ball movement, to begin with. Brandon Perry has stepped up and given us more of a presence on the interior. And then, we've rebounded the ball better defensively and got our break going, so we've been able to get some easier points in transition.
Today is senior day, and I know you are honoring 5 players. Can you talk a little bit about how important seniors are, and maybe more specifically what Christopher Anderson and Johnny D have meant to your program over the last 4 years?
Well, seniors, as they go through your program, they understand what's right and wrong and how to approach everything you do in your program from off the floor to on the floor. This group's been very special. The most high character group of young men I've ever been around. They're all very unselfish. They're all about team. You mentioned Chris and Johnny. They committed to this program at a time of turmoil. We were going through a rough patch with what had gone on. I credit them for having faith, not only in our staff and school, but their parents to have credit and faith with what we were doing. So it's been a blessing to have them. There's so many people said they were too small to play at this level, and it's amazing the things that they've accomplished.
Coach, thank you so much for your time, and good luck today against St. Mary's.
Thanks, Casey.
And we'll go back to you, Barry.
All right, thanks very much, Casey. And Casey, before we get away, we got to mention the fact that the basketball world lost a couple of greats this week in Jerry Tarkanian and Dean Smith.
Yeah, I remember watching as a young kid Jerry Tarkanian's national championship team in 1990. That was one of the most dominant teams I've ever seen. They beat Duke in the national championship that year by 30. Very impressive. They will be missed.
And Dean Smith, of course, I had a chance to do several of his games when he was at North Carolina. A modest guy. He was always say, when we go to talk to the coaches, he'd always say, I don't know anything. Talk to my assistants. Absolutely not true at all. 2 of the basketball coaching greats. They will be missed.
Hello and welcome to Geico WCC This Week in Los Angeles. I'm Chris McGee alongside the coach, Dave Miller. Hi, Coach.
How you doing, Geeter?
I'm doing great. Let's get right into it. Some conference highlights from earlier this week. We start with LMU at Gonzaga. Robert Sacre in the building supporting his alma mater. Kevin Pangos and the Zags looking for their 18th straight win. Pangos getting things started early. Open in the corner, he hits the three. 12-0 Zags to start things off. More Pangos. This time he finds Shemek Karnowski with the pretty dish. Karnowski finishes with the dunk.
Isn't it good to have a big target in the middle?
All Zags tonight, Coach. Angel Nunez in transition finds Domantas Sabonis for the huge slam. Zags go on to win by a final of 80-51. Coach, the Zags are number 3 in the country. Another big win at home. They are awfully tough there.
Well, when you look at it, they hold the longest home current win streak at 39 straight games. And this year, they're 14-0 at home. And this is a team that fuels themselves with their crowd. They have active hands. They produce turnovers, and then they make the right plays. Teams really get flustered with that relentless pressure. And if you run, the Zags guards are going to reward you. All the teams in the top 5 have a common denominator. They defend, they rebound, and the Zags do it extremely well. I think this is a team right now that's hitting its stride defensively. They can score inside, outside. We talk about all the weapons, but when they get down in a stance for a full shot clock, they're extremely hard to beat at home, which hasn't happened in a while.
All right, Coach, let's get to more highlights. Most likely here, the game of the night on Thursday. Kerry Keating and the Broncos trying to avoid their 5th straight loss. San Francisco has lost 5 straight, so something's got to give here. Early in the first half, Matt Christian finds Mark Tolson.
I say alley, you say
oops. Skipping ahead late in the second half. Tim Dirksen misses. Cruz Pinkins there for the tip in. We're all tied at 56 after a couple USF free throws. Brandon Clark responds with a jumper. Tied at 58. Last chance for USF. Tolson misses the jumper as time expires.
Guess where we're going?
OT. Coach loves OT. He wants more basketball. Devin Watson finds a cutting Tim Dirksen for the lane. USF goes on to win 69-62. All right, Pepperdine at Portland. Pepperdine coming in tonight's game at Portland 15-9. Pilots right behind him at 14-10. First half, Waves trailing by 6. Amadi Udini has space, hits the deep 3.
Love the way they move the ball.
Next Waves possession, Stacey Davis. Pass is stolen by Alec Wintering. Takes it coast to coast for the driving layup. Portland leads 20-15.
You got to meet your pass with the jump stop.
Second half, Pepperdine still down by 4. Oh, let's look at this again, though, Coach. That is real nice.
Well, I like the way Wintering shoots the gap and he's able to finish. Where's the rest of the defense, Pepperdine?
I don't know where that is. Second half, Pepperdine still down by 4. Udini goes baseline for the reverse. Blocked. Wintering gets the rebound, sends it down court to Kevin Bailey for the dunk. Pilots lead 38-32.
Good to see Bailey getting his groove back.
Closing minutes of the game, Portland lead by 15. Wintering drives in for the layup, puts the final nail in the Pepperdine's coffin. Pilots go on to win 69-52. Coach, nice win there by the Portland Pilots. They've won 3 straight. This is a team that you and I both thought could get into that upper echelon of the WCC to start the season. Seems like they're finally starting to hit their stride.
Well, remember, I told you it was my dark horse of the second half. And right now, they've got a roster that is full and raring to go. This is a team that has 4 of their last 6 games at home. And I think a week ago, when they swept in the Bay Area trip, this team righted itself. This is a team I don't want to play in Vegas. And one thing you know about Coach Reveno, he'll have them ready to play.
All right, Coach, more highlights. Let's get to them. BYU and St. Mary's, the second and third place teams in WCC going head-to-head. BYU 8-5 in the conference, and they're at home. Skylar Halford with the steal and the layup at the other end. BYU up early, Coach.
I just like to see the defense active. He shoots the gap. He absorbs the contact, uses his body to get in for the right-hand layup.
How about this? Frank Bartley IV dishes to Kyle Collinsworth with a two-handed jam. BYU finished the half up 42-30. Coach, even the BYU fans could miss tonight. Watch this. Half-court shot. Got it! Are you kidding me? Look at the announcer. Fall down in disbelief, Coach.
Oh, no. Come on, get up. You got to give him his props.
Oh, man. A little over 6 minutes left. Collinsworth gets the ball to Bartley on the outside for deep 3. BYU goes on to win 82-60. Now, the last game from Thursday, San Diego beat Pacific 68-48. Our boy Johnny D, that all scores with 21. Toreros shot 49% from the field, 45% from deep. They have won 5 out of the last 6. So San Diego catching fire and getting into the conversation as you look at the WCC standings. Gonzaga 13-0, St. Mary's at 10-3, but BYU, Pepperdine, San Diego, Portland, coach, they're all right there battling for position. It is going to be a lot of fun coming down the stretch. That is a big win for BYU. And I know they're supposed to do that at home, coach, but they looked outstanding.
Well, at home, we know that they're scoring points, and they were able to score 82 points. But what really hit me, Chris, is that they held them to 60 points. This is a team that can score with anybody in the country. But when you hold St. Mary's to 40% from the field, you're starting to play some defense. And that's what this team is going to need to finish out the WC season. Score with anybody. But can they rebound? Can they play defense inside? That's been their Achilles heel. And Dave Rose is the one that preaches this because he knows that in order to finish in the top 3, you're going to have to get stops. You're going to have to rebound the basketball. The offense comes easy. Do the dirty work.
Yeah, 9 steals for the Cougars. All right, Randy Bennett is in his 14th season as St. Mary's head coach with over 300 wins at the helm. He's taken the team to the NCAA tournament 5 times in his tenure. Here's Coach Bennett sitting down with our own coach, Dave Miller, in a segment we like to call Coach versus Coach. D-up.
Coach versus coach, you're in the hot seat. Best player you've ever coached?
Oh, that's a tough one. Delvedova Mills.
Got to pick one.
I can't.
Best player in the WCC?
This year?
Ever, in your
Ever.
opinion?
Oh, Nash.
Toughest place to play away from St. Mary's?
Gonzaga.
Other than basketball, give me your favorite activity.
Hanging out with my sons.
Favorite person to follow on Twitter?
I don't follow Twitter.
Who's the one person, dead or alive, you'd like to have lunch with?
Bill Russell.
What superstitions do you have game day?
A lot. It's a bunch of them.
Give me the weirdest.
Just how time-wise, I do everything the same. Like at this time, I leave the gym for shoot-around, and the last thing I do at shoot-around is this. And when I get to the game, when I take a nap, when I eat, the time-wise.
A lot of things.
A lot of things.
If you
a lot
had
of
one,
stuff to keep organized.
If you had one superpower, what would it be?
Read minds.
Tupac or Biggie?
Biggie.
The Beatles or the Stones?
Beatles.
How many times a month do you get your hair cut?
I cut my own once every 2 weeks.
Join the club. See you, Coach.
That was awesome. And I love the music questions, Tupac, Biggie, Stones, Beatles. I mean, he was really thinking about it. Like he was like, okay, I'm giving the right answer here. Who do I love? It looks like you guys have great chemistry.
Well, we've known each other, Chris, for probably 22 years. We both had full heads of hair when we first met. But the common denominator is his dad was an unbelievably great junior college coach at Mesa Community College. So when I coached at Arizona State, I started my friendship with his dad. I had already known Randy. So he comes from a great pedigree of coaching. And I've been able to see him, as everybody, take that St. Mary's program and just from the bottom up, get a defensive culture and sharing the ball offensively. It's great to see him grow as a great coach.
And you know what's great, Coach? He stayed there. Through all the success, he stays there and he seems happy. It's his home.
Well, I've always asked him, you know, you've had such great success. Why don't you leave? And he's like, why leave somewhere where you belong, you fit in, and you have great success? I think St. Mary's and Randy Bennett was a match made in heaven.
Pretty awesome stuff. All right, still to come on WCC this week. We'll learn how St. Mary's became known for recruiting talent from the land down under. Time for our WCC Player of the Week. It's BYU guard Kyle Collinsworth. The junior averaged 18 points and 11 rebounds in last week's games versus Pepperdine and LMU. This is the third time he has been named Player of the Week this season. Collinsworth also made history against the Lions. He recorded his 5th triple-double of the year, which is an NCAA single-season record. He passes college greats like Jason Kidd and Brian Shaw on his way to the record books. That is some great company. Sticking with the Cougars, BYU announced that Coach Dave Rose has received a 5-year contract extension, which runs through the 2019-2020 season. In 10 years with the program, he has led the Cougars to the NCAA tournament 7 times. Now, being one of the most popular sports in the world, basketball is truly a global sport. In the West Coast Conference, it is no secret that St. Mary's coach Randy Bennett has found much success in recruiting elite players from Australia. Here's a closer look at the Gales and their relationship with basketball down under.
Walking around the St. Mary's campus, it's not unusual to hear an Australian accent. Aussie players have become such a staple in the Gales basketball program that it's hard to remember a time before that connection began. But in fact, it only goes back about 15 years, and it all came about as a matter of chance.
We had a guy back in 2000 that was looking to come to college. Before it really was a big deal for Australians to come to college, but he was very academically minded, and he was a point guard, and American schools only wanted big players, so we couldn't find him at school.
That point guard was former Gale player and assistant Adam Caporn, and it was Coach Marty Clark who was helping him find a school from Australia. They ended up hearing about St. Mary's from a friend of a friend scenario.
No one knew what St. Mary's was, where it was, never heard of the school, and it was a chance for Adam to come over and play at a school that had a good academic reputation and really had no other options.
The great experience Caporn had ended up leading him to convince his friend Daniel Kickert to come to St. Mary's too. And those two good experiences eventually led to a player named Patty Mills.
Then kind of the floodgates opened and 5 or 6 guys came after that, but there was certainly no plan to it, and it was more the fact that this end had done a good job of accommodating Australians. People want to go somewhere where they know they're going to get A, good experience, and B, get looked after.
With the success of so many Australian players like Mills and Matthew Dellavedova in the St. Mary's basketball program came a kind of Gales mania in Australia.
It's on TV a lot, actually. I mean, sometimes it overshadows games that you think would be played over it, but they love the Australians back home, so it's played all the time, and it is a pretty well-known college. Like, of all the American colleges that people come to play basketball, it's the most recognised one, I think, back home.
I think a couple of years ago there was about 14 games shown down there, so when we toured down there after that year, everyone saw the shirts. Oh yes, I know who you are, I know what you're talking about. Whereas 10 years ago, no one would have known St. Mary's.
For the younger generation of basketball players in Australia, the desire to come to St. Mary's no longer just comes from the opinions of friends who have played there, but from the national attention the school has gained.
After I watched him, I just decided I wouldn't really want to play college basketball, so definitely from that point on was when I wanted to come to play for St. Mary's.
As soon as they started talking to me, I really thought that's where I wanted to go, and I didn't visit any other school. They didn't even visit here. I knew I wanted to go.
There are currently 3 Australian players on the men's basketball team, and while transitioning from one side of the world to another isn't easy, the strong community at St. Mary's has helped them feel more at ease.
You sort of see a lot of familiar faces around all the time, and that definitely really helped with leaving my family and stuff, just having good friends here and having other people around as well that are going to do something similar.
Everyone's really friendly over here. It's a really nice community. A lot of international kids, an international sort of program at first. We even took an American culture class. I just learned all sorts of things, like how to talk like an American, a bit of small talk like that.
The students and the teachers here have done a great job of making them feel like not just a community, but they're important to the community. And now they hang the flag and they sing the song and do all those sort of things. So there is an Australian connection that everyone would feel, whether they're Australian or not, coming in.
The St. Mary's Australian connection only continues to grow. Next season, 3 more Aussies will join the men's basketball team and call this campus their home.
I've talked to a couple of the recruits just a little bit, and I'm pretty excited for them to come here, have 6 of us on the team.
Kids that have come here have done well, and the school has done well, and the program has done well, and the weather's great. So it ticks a lot of boxes, and we'll keep going down there. I'll keep getting on a plane and going down and trying to recruit guys to come back.
Obviously, you can look at the success we've had. It's easy to come in, fit in, play a great style of basketball, and great coaching staff. great players. Like everyone is just really nice, really helpful. So, I mean, it's the ideal place you want to go.
For the WCC This Week, I'm Amanda Blackwell.
You can catch St. Mary's in our Game of the Week against San Diego coming up next. And here's the rest of the games on today. Third-ranked Gonzaga taking on Pepperdine at 5. LMU taking on the Portland Pilots. Caps it off at 7. Check your local listings for channel locations. Coach, San Diego has been hot. What's the key to the game for them?
Well, they've got to have a good start right out of the gate. At St. Mary's, they got down 15, and it was a hole that was way too deep to pick up. Offensively, this is a team, they've got to push the pace. In their last 6 games, they're averaging 71 points per game. In their first 8 league games, they never scored over 60 points. Then secondly, San Diego needs to force turnovers. It's their pesky defense that creates easy offense. You talk about the hottest team in this league, they are, other than Gonzaga. This is a team right now that is cruising on all cylinders. They can defend, and when they score, they're hard to beat.
That's it for me and Coach. We'll get you back to the Slim Jim.
Well, all of you watching in the Northeast, eat your hearts out. It's 80 degrees here in San Diego. Great day to be outside, but Casey Jacobson and I are inside for our West Coast Conference Game of the Week. And Casey, let's talk about the X factors in this game.
Yeah, for St. Mary's, I'm going with Garrett Jackson, the 6'7" senior who transferred 2 years ago from USC, and he's done a little bit of everything for this St. Mary's team. He's 3rd on the team in scoring and 3rd in rebounding in WCC play, all while shooting a very efficient 50% from the field. You know, I like that, Barry. And his development has been, you know, a real pleasant surprise for Randy Bennett's squad. And for San Diego, my X factor is Duda Sunatse at 6'5" and 220 pounds. He's a big guard. He has struggled with his shot for most of the year, but he's coming off his best performance of the season against Pacific. He had 20 points, and he too was efficient, 8 of 10 shooting from the field. They'd love another game like that from him today, and San Diego could really use another score in the backcourt to take some pressure off of Johnny D.
Looks like he had to take a standing 8 count too. Here's the schedule for today in the West Coast Conference. Pepperdine will have to go up to Spokane to do battle with the Zags at home, and that is not an easy task. Pacific will try BYU. BYU coming off arguably its best win of the season against St. Mary's on Thursday night. Most impressive win of the season anyway. And LMU and Portland play in what could be a very important game because we've been talking about positioning.
A huge game. If Portland wants to stay out of that doghouse where they'd have to play early, they need that win against LMU today.
You know, one thing I do want to mention, too, that this is a very tough road trip for St. Mary's. They play a Thursday night game. It's cold up in Provo. They got to drive the hour and a half to get back to Salt Lake City, then catch a flight the next day here, practice at 6 o'clock last night, and it's 80 degrees here in San Diego. That's not easy.
It is not easy at all, but Randy Bennett has a lot of talent on his team, a lot of veteran leadership, too, so I think they're going to be just fine.
What's important for them, of course, is they want to stay on the other side of the bracket from Gonzaga. You don't want to get to them in the tournament any sooner than you have to. It's San Diego and St. Mary's when we come back.